And here we have a picture of the Bighorn Medicine Wheel in Lovell, Wyoming. It's the largest of the medicine wheels in America. There are 250 odd medicine wheels in the Americas, the North Americas, Canada and the United States, and this is the very biggest. It's based on the moon. It's 28 cycles, 28 divisions in this medicine wheel are the 28 days of the lunar cycle. And so it indicates that women whose lunar cycle is 28 days had some effect on having this wheel come into existence. In the webinar, Indigenous Wisdom for These Times, Peruvian Indigenous healer Arkan Leshwala's comment at 10 minutes, 37 seconds on becoming as humble and non-exploitive as little children in our care of the natural world that sustains us, echoes that of Jesus when he says for us to be greatest in the kingdom of heaven is to become as humble and loving as little children in relation to it and those in it. Perhaps our earth can become that kingdom if we become as little children by instituting in ourselves their inspired flow of awareness of, effect upon, and reciprocity with the people, places, and things, including things of the earth. On this next page is an avatar, a conglomeration of all the medicine wheels. This medicine wheel has 4 sections, but basically you have to think in terms of what do Indigenous people do in the spring, which is the yellow, in the summer, which is the red, the black, which is actually a fall, when things die and are harvested. And then the north is white, of course, and it's white because of the snow. It's notable that the center is green, which, of course, all living things are green, and that's the basic of all living things. You start there, and everything comes from that. This next slide is that of a mandala. Mandalas are usually in a long rectangular format with a circle in the middle. There's hundreds, maybe thousands of them in India. This is one of them. And it's at the article in the Wikipedia on mandalas. Here we have the Extinction Rebellion's mandala. It follows the Indian mandala. They begin environmental actions, often against banks. I've participated in them, to have them divest from fossil fuels. So you have the training and skills connect, the looking ahead sort of thing in the spring. In the summer, you have the actual action. I know it's that's in the south when it's hot. Middle of the day when the actions do occur, and then after the action, they go back to their staging area, usually their headquarters or a restaurant for coffee or whatever. And they compare notes and see what lessons were learned and what they should do different. Then you have rest from that and meditation on that. People sleep on it, and then it's another day, another campaign. Here is the mandala that I've created from some special graphics, and I call this the mandala of Yogi's 4 perspectives. And there's the planning one, there's the actual production one. Production things are done usually according to a rhythm, like rowing a boat or reading a sentence or just walking to work. That's a rhythm. And then in the West, you have bartering. That's when at the end of the day, when you pick up your paycheck and you go to the store and buy groceries, go home and give the kids their allowance or whatever, and have them, say they're going to clean their room and so forth. And then in the evening, you have meditating, because we all go to sleep. And sometimes we have dreams, or we wake up in the middle of the night to solve problems, and then they're ready for the next day. Okay, visioning is about seeing the past present and future, and scenarios within them. This is also the purpose of the mandala's top and 3 side views of a graphic central to data processing, which I call yogi, after the shamans indigenous to India, who are similar to those indigenous to the Americas. When I see its top or 4th perspectives in my mind's eye, I get a better grasp of vistas and principles as a whole. But when I need to buckle down and get a job done, it's a side view, the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd views, that comes to my aid. Its top view helps me see a forest of trees. A side view helps me see a particular tree of the forest, where each tree has its own single colored graphic, blue, red, or green. Yogi is a graphic from data processing used to illustrate by the heights of its canopy, which is the summation of these blue, red, and green undergraphics that then combine to give you that top view, the canopy, which are the minimum average number of the zeros and ones required for the computer to record 3 events of any combination of their probabilities of occurrence in its base. So each of these undergraphics are the quantities of information required for different probabilities of that event occurring, red, blue, or green. And then they add together to give you the count. The theory is that by seeing yogi in your peripheral vision or your mind's eye, you use fewer characters or nerve impulses to have your current level of experience, and subconsciously devote the newly available nerve impulses to a fuller experience. To see how yogi may help you get the overall picture of something as well as the detail within it, I suggest trying the following exercise. After not having seen yogi for a few minutes, find a quiet place to sit undistracted. Relax by closing your eyes and observe your breath going in and out until completely relaxed. Then experience the nature image on the next 2 pages, first without yogi and then with yogi. It's a variation on the Peaceable Kingdom. That was a painting by Quakers in the late 19th century. It's very famous. There have been many variations on it. Please view this image until you tire of it. So now take a look for another 30 seconds or so. Then we'll go to the next step. Look at the next page, which is the same picture. However, now below that picture is the top and side view of yogi. And the question is does the picture look more lively, or do you see more detail? Does it draw you in? Does it look more colorful, and so forth? You may see things you didn't see before. When we look at things, we tend to just name the things in them because our primary purpose for millions of years was just to identify objects, first of all, to see if they were a threat. And many of these animals in this image, would be a threat to you if it wasn't in the Peaceable Kingdom. And so the idea of this painting is to bring you more into caring for animals and wanting to see them. Okay, you've had the experience, and you just compare them in your mind. You may try, as I mentioned, this comparison with other activities that interest you, such as listening to music, talking on the phone, making a tasty meal, etc. To appreciate a nature or work of art more fully, find a keyhole in the dark. You know, I use it for, my hallway is dark and in front of the door to my room. And so very often I will put the key, in the vicinity of the keyhole, but then I'll visualize yogi. If you have to visualize just one part of yoga, it would be the top view because it's the more complete view. And that's what I do. And invariably, the key goes right into the keyhole and I can't see it. It's completely dark. And the yogi is very good when I just visualize it at helping my subconscious guide that key into that keyhole. And you may use it for other things. I've used it many times for speeches advocating no fracking in the county, no coal in Oakland, and so forth. And I've gotten many compliments on my speech making. And in every one of those speeches, a minute before, often when I had no idea what I was going to say, I would visualize the top view of yogi, and I was always, wow, I was always amazed that I, was able to say anything coherent. Drumming. This is the second of the 4 seasons, summer. And in the summer, most often, they use drumming in establishing a rhythm. I'm talking about Indigenous folks everywhere. So they're everywhere in the world. And they use drumming in establishing a rhythm to achieve coherence. Whenever conflict, confusion, or depression begins, merely tap your foot with intention to a 4 count as if beginning to direct the performance of dancers and singers, of which there are many such events in Indigenous societies. After about 8 taps, you may notice chaos is replaced by next steps to be taken and notes to be sung. For Indigenous peoples, drumming is a call to unity, action, beatings, and community identity, as well as healing. Drum beats consist of a downstroke and an upstroke of just the forearm. Repetitions of an outward-inward motion of all of both arms at the beginning of the day can quickly establish coherent social interaction perspectives useful throughout the day. And there's 3 of them. Number 1 is demand or offer. 2 is take or give. And 3 is speak or listen. If you find it ideal, stand opposite a steel post for the first of each of the demand, take, or speak in the previous list, and opposite the tree trunk of a tree you like for the second in each of those listed. That would be offer, give, and listen. For making demands or establishing boundaries, stand opposite the post, close your fists near your chest, and then very quickly extend your arms and open your fists, returning them to your chest more slowly, 10 or 20 times. For the offer perspective, do the same motions less forcefully opposite the trunk of a tree. The idea is that when you're relating to a post, it's impersonal. When you're relating to a tree, it's personal. For taking or giving, reverse the motions of the first. Start with your arms and hands in the extended position, quickly close them to your chest, and then return them more slowly to the extended position, 10 or 20 times, as though drawing in a net full of fish or rowing a boat with others. So you're cooperating. For a speaking or listening perspective, extend and return your arms smoothly at the same speed in both directions. And it would be slowly. You're listening or you're expressing yourself with a slow voice. Practice 3, bartering. Making converging offers and counter offers to complete an exchange of property, skills, ideas, or points of view to the benefit of both parties. To connect and find common ground with new people in novel situations, imagine the high-low bidding process in bazaars or on Pawn Stars, the popular pawn shop program on the History Channel. This prompts the law of attraction, doing this visioning of bartering. Visioning a desired result, in this case, converging offers and counteroffers of an agreeable exchange that enlists the subconscious to fill in everything to that point: parties, goods, services, issues, ideas, etc., offered in that give and take. By invoking the golden rule, doing for the other person as you would have them do for you if you were in their shoes, and on which Jesus said, quote, depend the law and prophets, unquote, for their existence, this back and forth bidding works with both friends and enemies. Fair trade negotiations between native farmers and retail vendors in other countries that eliminates middlemen serves both parties. In fact, this was brokered by the pastor at my church a couple of years ago between coffee farmers in Uganda and a vendor in Fort Bragg. And negotiations between polluted minority neighborhoods and city councils ensure the fulfillment of commitments by both parties. And I was in on that negotiation, and the Black community actually measured the pollution in their community in West Oakland. And then they brought the results to the city council, and they got results, got programs to help ameliorate that. Trade-offs between the welfare of the environment and those within it are the subject of Donut Economics by Kate Raworth and Sacred Economics by Charles Eisenstein. Also, the 2021 Climate Action Challenge, where you can actually, this will be occurring again starting in September of this year, where you can actually do things to help the environment, starting with composting. And then you can go from there and partake in the Drawdown Eco Challenge, which is ongoing. And they give you 1,000 different kinds of projects you could do to make that happen. Practice number 4, meditating. When using the first 3 practices of visioning, drumming, and bartering are not effective, you may want to close your eyes, relax, and center yourself on the in and out of your breath, as if smoking a peace pipe or staring into a campfire until those 3 practices are effective again. And why is this? It's because the cadence of your breath in and out is the beat. Where your in and out breath begin and end is the exchange of air you've bargained for, unquote. And your expectation in feeling it is the visioning aspect of this meditation technique. Some moments of reflection may suggest that most Indigenous labels that allude to visioning, drumming, and bargaining practices may be, respectively, the child, parent, and adult ego states of transactional psychology, the Holy Spirit, Father and Son ego states of God, and the consuming, producing, and trading phases of economics. Meditating on them could include contemplating a balanced give and take between them. Paths from crisis, including the climate crisis, to solutions may appear by meditating on your breath or going for a walk in nature with yogi as a companion. Zoom courses that help develop the 4 practices for achieving flow, such as community drumming, healing family relationships, religious imagination, and weekly meditation are offered via Zoom at Inner Light Ministries. Conclusion and next steps. Our visioning, drumming, bartering, and meditating are actions, not abstractions, wedded to nature, not divorced from it, meant for the greatest well-being of man and nature, not short-sighted satiation or profit. Let's always discover how having yogi in our mind's eye when visioning, drumming, bartering, and meditating advances flow on the circular river of life with God, Mother Nature, and their children.